The winter lights of New Harbor glimmered against the towers that pierced the sky. Steam rose from vents along the walkways, where humans walked side by side with visitors from distant systems. Ships hummed as they ascended from the port district, and the grand city pulsed with the pride of a world that had earned its place in the wider spiral of stars. Humans had built their home through grit that no alien empire could quite understand. They called it the will to rise. It was why New Harbor became the unofficial capital of the free worlds. Near the center of the bustling commerce sector stood a tower of black glass and burnished alloy. The building belonged to an industrial magnate named Grant. His reputation stretched from Earth to the outposts near the Iona Rift. The man had fame, fortune, and an ego shaped by the belief that wealth proved superiority. Grant enjoyed the season for one reason. It allowed him to show generosity that cameras would record. The gift mattered less than the applause the act brought him. He walked that evening with his bodyguards, preparing an appearance at a charity gala where he planned to display a donation that cost him little but gained him much attention. On the same boulevard sat a distressed, old station piano. It had survived decades of weather, repairs, and countless hands. It leaned slightly to one side, humble among the dazzling decorations. At its seat was a thin boy in warm clothes. The child kept his face down as his fingers traveled across the keys. His name was Leo. He had no home other than an abandoned transport hub where he slept in a corner shielded from the wind. People passed by without noticing he braved the same winter air they did. Yet when he played, he gave something rare. His sound rose like a quiet beacon. That evening, the boy played a simple festive melody. The tune drifted with warmth through the frosted air. It was not skill alone, but heart that shaped each note. A few people slowed, feeling the sincerity in a city that often felt metallic and rushed. They dropped small credits into the cup he had placed on the ground. Leo nodded without looking at them. Every coin meant another day he could eat. Grant approached with his entourage. He heard the tune and forced a scoff. It annoyed him that anyone took a moment to watch a child in ragged clothes. He preferred attention locked on him. His voice carried loud enough that pedestrians heard. He said that the boy played like a malfunctioning unit, and that a street child attempting a holiday. Tune was nothing more than noise. He laughed as he passed. A few people turned away, embarrassed by his remark. Leo kept playing, but the softness of his hands shifted. He did not show anger. He simply continued, though his eyes grew damp. The city had made him used to stares and remarks, but the mocking tone cut deeper than usual. Grant moved on, pleased with himself. In his view, he had displayed wit. In truth, he had stepped over a treasure he did not recognize. Later that night, the gala sparkled within the crystal hall of the tower. Stars outside looked like distant lanterns hung across the heavens. The guests consisted of influential figures, diplomats from nearby systems, and media crews eager for stories. Musicians hired for the evening filled the chamber with polished arrangements. They were talented but predictable. Every note felt rehearsed, lacking the spark that pulls on the soul. Grant prepared to give his grand speech. He signaled his staff to ready the display. The moment he raised his hand, a soft tone filled the hall. It came from near the entrance. The sound was faint at first. Then it grew. The crowd turned their heads. Someone was playing the small decorative piano that had been placed near the doors for ambience. Security moved closer, confused. The music did not match the formal playlist. It sounded alive. The one playing it was IOA server, who had passed by the street earlier, had recognized him and allowed him to enter through the staffway. The server, named Tom, had been struck by how the boy continued to play after being mocked. He thought the child deserved warmth for the night. He had given him food, and offered a place to sit behind the curtains. Leo had been quiet the entire time. When the music inside the hall turned repetitive, Tom whispered that the small piano near the doors was not locked. He asked whether the boy wanted to play something real, something just for himself. Leo hesitated, but walked toward the piano and no. One watched. Now the notes drifting through the hall were unlike anything the guests had heard. Leo touched the keys as if they were part of him. His hands moved with grace that defied his age. He wove a theme that began like the soft bells of winter and rose into a dynamic pattern that held the room in silence. The melody carried echoes of distant starfields, the quiet hope of travelers who longed for home, the determination of humans who built cities from dust. Every soul in the chamber felt something stir. It was as if the very spirit of the season glowed through the sound. Grant froze. He recognized the boy immediately. His face tightened as murmurs filled the hall. Guests whispered how extraordinary the music was. Some spoke of resonance patterns that matched the advanced scales of species known for their sonic mastery. Yet the boy was human and played on a basic piano. This was not talent. It was genius. The sound changed once more. Leo shifted into a theme of triumph. It carried a spark that belonged only to humans. The HFY spirit. Humanity had faced empires, storms, and the cold of space. They survived through creativity when strength failed. They pushed beyond limits when others expected them to break. The boy at the piano embodied that resilience. He was nothing yet everything. Unpolished yet brilliant, the final chords landed like snowfall, settling on quiet streets. The room breathed as one. When silence followed, the audience erupted in applause. Some wiped tears. Others clapped with a force rarely seen at corporate galas. To witness raw human brilliance in its purest form was a gift. Grant swallowed, feeling something he rarely experienced. Humility. Reporters turned their cameras toward him. They remembered hearing him mock the boy earlier on the street. Several guests glanced in his direction. Their expressions were sharp. Grant felt his image crumble. He stepped forward, trying to speak before anyone asked questions. He attempted to call it a misunderstanding. But truth does not bow to convenience. Tom walked to the front and placed a hand on Leo's shoulder. The server announced that the child had not been invited by the corporation, but by simple kindness. He said that the boy's playing spoke more about humanity's spirit than any donation from the wealthy ever could. Grant's face tightened. He tried to regain authority. He motioned for his staff to escort the boy away, but people stood between them. Diplomats from distant systems stepped up. They recognized what they had heard. One of them, tall and crest-like, spoke with respect. They said the performance carried mathematical richness that mirrored advanced harmonic structures used in their own culture. They praised humanity for nurturing such brilliance in one so young. The crowd clapped again. This time not for the melody, but for the child himself. Grant attempted to shift the attention back to his scheduled speech. Guests ignored him. He slammed his palm lightly against the podium, trying to reclaim authority. The hall felt colder. The man realized that in a room full of leaders, he was the only one who had failed to notice value where it clearly existed. Instead of continuing, he stepped back. For the first time in years, he could not find words. The applause directed at the boy broke his confidence in a way no market failure had. He saw the cameras capturing every reaction. The galaxy would know. Leo stood silently, unsure what he should do. He had not played for recognition. He had simply followed the sound inside his chest. Tom bent down and whispered that he should take a bow. Leo hesitated, then gave a small nod. The crowd rose, giving him a standing ovation. Tom guided him gently. The evening shifted. Instead of Grant giving his speech, the director of the Cultural Council stepped forward. She announced a proposal. The boy would be offered formal training, housing, and guardianship through a city program focused on gifted youth. It ensured safety and education for children with rare talents. She explained that someone showing abilities beyond formal structure deserved a place where creativity could grow. Many guests nodded with approval. Grant tried to object. He claimed the corporation could sponsor the training instead. The council director calmly replied that the public program was already funded and transparent. It ensured that the boy would not become a tool to polish any company's image. Grant had no answer. After the gala, while reporters swarmed around, Leo was taken to a quiet preparation room so the council workers could speak with him. Through the door window, Tom watched. The boy sat with straight posture, answering their questions in a soft voice. His eyes shone with cautious hope. Tom felt relieved. He had acted on instinct that afternoon. Now it seemed like fate had placed him in the right moment. Grant retreated to his office, furious yet shaken. He paced along the windows overlooking the city. He had always believed power came from influence and wealth. Yet a homeless boy had taken the entire room with nothing but heart and hands. He realized something bitter. All his towers, investments, and connections had never produced a moment as meaningful as those few minutes of music. For the first time, the man wondered what he had lost along the path to success. On the streets outside, people continued to talk about the performance. Some residents recorded messages to send to off-world friends. They described how the music felt like the pulse of humanity itself. The next morning, news channels ran the story. The headline spoke of the hidden prodigy who played at a Tycoon's gala. They reported that the boy's housing had been secured, and he would begin training at the prestigious academy within the month. Group of human explorers stationed near the Iona Rift received the story as a data burst. They listened to a partial recording of the performance. The melody energized them. It reminded them why humans ventured so far into the unknown, not for conquest or wealth, but for discovery, creation, and the belief that something beautiful could come from unlikely places. Several alien leaders shared the recording across their networks. They spoke of how humans consistently produced unexpected brilliance. A child from a struggling background had demonstrated mastery equal to that of advanced sonic cultures. They admired the human spirit. They admired the ability to rise from hardship and transform it into art. Days passed. Leo adjusted to his new surroundings slowly. The academy gave him a clean bed, warm meals, tutors, and counselors. He practiced on instruments that responded to touch with sensitivity far beyond the old station piano. His teachers watched in awe as he explored patterns and structures on his own. They saw something unique. It was not simply that he learned quickly. It was that he created new forms. Tom visited him once a week with permission from the staff. During one visit, Leo asked why he had helped him. Tom answered that the boy had reminded him of why he once wanted to become a musician. Life had pushed him into service work, but hearing Leo play revived something he thought he had lost. He said that kindness should flow when possible. Leo thanked him quietly. Meanwhile, Grant attempted to repair his image. He released statements praising the academy and congratulating Leo. Few believed him. His mockery had been recorded earlier on the street. The contrast with the boy's brilliance was clear. Eventually, he stopped trying. His advisors encouraged him to focus on other projects. The galaxy had moved on. In time, he would as months passed. The academy held a small concert to present its rising talents. Representatives from several worlds attended. Leo performed a new piece he had composed. The composition reflected his past and his new journey. It began with a soft melody that resembled the old station tune, then expanded into star-like bursts of sound. The audience loved it. Tom sat in the back row, watching with pride. By the end of the performance, Leo bowed with confidence. He no longer felt invisible. He belonged to a community that valued him. The spirit of humanity that burned quietly within him had finally been recognized. His story spread across the free worlds as a reminder that brilliance can rise from unlikely places. The galaxy remembered that humanity's strength came not from wealth or power, but from the will to rise, the courage to dream, and the ability to transform hardship into harmony. Leo walked off the stage with a calm smile. The lights glowed warmly. The future waited, and for the first time, he felt ready for it.